morning and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nabunag.
And I'm Hatay Tiranan, and kicking off the program tonight with a question of Thailand's reopening and its tourism industry. The Prime Minister has initially promised to reopen the country completely by mid-October, or 120 days from the day he announced it. But it turns out that this is not very likely. But at least some more tourist destinations will open up soon. So 5 provinces, including Bangkok, are expected to welcome foreign arrivals without quarantine next month, after about 2 months now of the implementation of the sandbox scheme in some southern islands. So the 5 provinces that are set to reopen on October 1st, apart from Bangkok, are Chonburi, Phetchaburi, Prachuap Khiri Khan, and Chiang Mai. So currently, only Phuket, Krabi, Phang Nga, and Surat Thani are the ones welcoming the tourists as the first phase. Now, for the second phase, government spokesman Thanakorn Wangbunkongchana said that preparations have been made in these 5 provinces, such as mass vaccinations of people and promotional campaigns to attract tourists. As for next step, which is the third phase of the scheme, he said that 21 provinces will be reopened to foreign tourists. And these include Lamphun, Phra, Nan, Mae Hong Son, Chiang Rai, and Sukhothai in the north, and Udon Thani, Nong Khai, Bumgan, and Ubon Ratchathani in the northeast, Kanchanaburi and Ratchaburi in the western region, Rayong, Trat, and Chanthaburi on the eastern coast, the central province of Ayutthaya, and the southern provinces of Nakhon Si Thammarat, Ranong, Drang, Satun, and Songkhla. While promoting foreign arrivals, he said that the government will encourage more Thais to travel locally under the Rao Thieu Doi Grant Initiative, which translates in English as We Travel Together, and Tour Thieu Thai or Thailand tour programs.
So under the Rao Thieu Doi Kan scheme, the government will subsidize 40% of hotel room charges, 600 baht food coupon per night, and a 40% discount on 2 million air tickets or hotel rooms. Registration to apply for the subsidies or discounts under the tourism promotional schemes will begin later this month. So Thai tourists can start traveling in October, which marks the start of the tourism season. Thanakorn said that Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has emphasized that the reopening must be safe and a focus needs to be given on the COVID-19 screening measures to ensure safety for all tourists, both Thais and foreigners. For the 4th phase, which is tentatively scheduled to commence in January next year, 13 border provinces will reopen for tourist visits. So it looks like a very ambitious plan right here, but we have to admit that the country is heavily reliant on tourism. So reopening to the foreign travelers would be the option to revive the economy, but it is still uncertain whether the government can really keep its own promise.
Well, for one thing, the complete reopening is a promise that was not fulfilled already. So we have to see about other provinces, which are our tourist destinations as well. And so pre-COVID, tourism actually accounted for about 20% of the GDP. So that's a very big chunk. And even without lockdown measures, many of the tourist operators and shops in tourist destinations just closed down because it wasn't worth the cost of opening even, which is actually really sad. So let's hope things will begin to get back to normal soon for all of our sake.
Exactly. And speaking of the reopening Kudhatai, right now, of course, the focus is on the domestic tourism instead while we wait for things to fall back into places with foreign tourists. But at least now the country has sort of eased some of the lockdown restrictions, COVID-19 restrictions rather. So more Thai people have started to travel right now. And among the popular destinations is the coastal town of Hua Hin in Prachuap Khiri Khan province, where we're seeing hotels developing promotions to attract more tourists as well. And another place is national parks across the country. And not only that, Hua Hin is also one of the destinations that plans to reopen to foreign tourists under the Hua Hin Recharge Scheme, which the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, or the CCSA, will decide on very soon. However, the vice president of Thai Hotels Association, Udomsi Mahachota, said the proposed reopening to foreign arrivals next month should be postponed. The association's vice president, who's also an advisor to the Hua Hin Tourism Association, also explained that normally Thai people would travel to Hua Hin and Cha'am in October as it coincides with the school break and the high season. As such, he doesn't really agree with the Hua Hin recharge scheme, which is expected to welcome foreign tourists from October 1st without a quarantine, but with the requirement for several RT-PCR tests, as Thai people might be afraid to come. He suggests that it would be better to postpone the Hua Hin recharge scheme to December, as there would be more foreign tourists arriving, mostly coming from Germany, the UK, Scandinavia, France, and Switzerland.
And not just Hua Hin Kunad, it seems a lot of people are yearning to be back in nature again. So Thai tourists are also flocking national parks since the easing of lockdown restrictions, despite the rainy season. One of them is Khao Yai National Park in the northeastern province of Nakhon Ratchasima, where about 24,000 tourists visited the park since last Wednesday, including about 8,000 a day over last weekend. And the chief of the park told Thai PBS that he believes the key factor drawing so many people to the park is a news report which went viral about a bear seen eating an omelet at the cliff, as well as other natural attractions such as waterfalls and wild species, which emerge from the woods to graze in green fields and to eat wild fruits. However, he said that the limitations on the number of visitors are being imposed to prevent overcrowding. And I, for one, would love to go back to natural parks again, but certainly perhaps not during this rainy season when there's so many slugs and leashes, and not to mention getting wet. But this all goes to show how desperate perhaps people have been being kind of confined to their homes.
Exactly. Well, it's still very nice to see that many of the tourist destinations, including Hua Hin and many of the national parks, are welcoming tourists once again after it has been suffering from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right, and moving on now to politics, the parliament has passed the two-ballot electoral system by an overwhelming majority earlier today. A joint parliamentary session on Friday passed the proposed two-ballot electoral system by an overwhelming 472 votes to 33 in a third and final reading of the only constitutional amendment draft accepted out of 13 submitted. 23 MPs and 149 senators voted in favor, with 23 MPs and 10 senators voting against. And this newly accepted amendment, pending royal endorsement, seeks to change the 350 constituency MPs and 150 party list MPs ratio to 400 versus 100. This proposal is actually really popular, as we already mentioned before, among major parties, as the new system is believed to benefit them with the possibility of more seats while eroding the representation of smaller parties. So the one ballot system, which was used in the 2019 general elections, was meant to prevent any party, and we believe especially for Pheu Thai, which is currently the largest opposition party, from forming a single party government or being the majority in a coalition. And it in turn rewarded the new but now defunct Future Forward Party with unexpected success in the election, and created a highly fractured government coalition with about a dozen parties with only one MP each. So among the 13 proposed drafts, Pheu Thai's proposal to establish a charter writing assembly was actually the first to be rejected outright by the House Speaker without even being debated on the grounds that the move was not lawful because a rewrite of the Constitution was not the purpose and only amendments were. Other drafts sought to increase people's rights, especially in the justice system, improve the economy, and most importantly, end the Senate's power to select a prime minister, which was what occurred in 2019 when Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha was voted back into power without even contesting the election.
Well, as we reported yesterday, that Thamanat announced that he resigned, but that seems to have been an apparent snub in the narrative here. He was rumored to be plotting a move against Prayut, but he denied it. But then Prayut said the dismissal was his order and that he has his own reasons without elaborating further. So we'll have to see if this will increase the internal rifts within the already shaking ruling party.
Exactly, especially how the coalition is just made up of so many parties and factions. Actually, both sides of the party spectrum are not that stable at all. And Kunat, about Thamanat, he did make threats before that he would expose the party and government secrets. And if he got overthrown, the government would collapse. Well, that hasn't happened yet, but only time will tell how much power he really has.
Exactly. We will have to wait and see if he will really do that as well. And we'll end the show tonight with some more entertaining news. Whether you're a BLACKPINK fan or not, you must be aware that Lisa has officially made her solo debut, and her music video actually gained over 10 million views in only just an hour after its release. Lisa has finally made her fierce solo debut with La Lisa, making her the third member of BLACKPINK to release a solo project, followed by her fellow members Jennie in 2018 and Rose earlier this year. So that means we only have Jisoo left. The music video gained over 1.7 million views for its premiere on YouTube and over 10 million views in only just an hour after its release. The Twitter hashtag "Today is La Lisa Day" to celebrate her solo debut is also the fastest trending hashtag with over 2 million tweets so far. The music video not only showcases her singing, rapping, and dancing skills, which she is best known for, she also pulls off various looks to present different kinds of her charm. But what really captivated fans around the world was the golden Thai costume she wore in the video, showcasing the beauty of Thai culture to the world as the only Thai member of a very famous K-pop girl group. And this outfit is designed by a very famous Thai designer, Ponpat Asawatprapha, who also posted sketches of the outfit on his Instagram today.
This is definitely a remarkable moment for fans around the world, especially when Lisa is the only Thai member in a famous K-pop group. And many Thais are definitely proud of her, looking up to her as their idol and a next step in her music scene.
Exactly. We have to say that Lisa is one of the most successful Thai artists to make it in the K-pop industry. Apart from having the most followers on Instagram for a K-pop artist, she is also being widely recognized in the fashion industry as well, as she has a lot of endorsements from luxury brands and makeup brands as well.
And well, good for a lot of fans to see a mesmerizing show being debuted. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. But do catch us again like this every weekday at 7 p.m. for all the top stories and explainers.
And don't forget to follow us on social media as well as our website, thaipbsworld.com, for the latest updates and analyses. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you next Monday. สวัสดีค่ะ
Swadika, have a good weekend.